So, you all have a gamete in front of you. I'm going to tell you that this is a castor canadensis gamete.
I know what that is.
What is castor canadensis? That's genus and species.
The beaver.
It is the beaver! Of course it's the beaver. Good job. Did you really know that? What is contained in a gamete? Hey, focus, Pinky. What is contained in a gamete? What stuff?
Genes.
Okay, well the sperm is the gamete.
DNA.
What's contained in the gamete is DNA, which is contained in what form? Chromosomes! You may carefully open your gamete. Inside your gamete are a bunch of chromosomes. How many chromosomes do you find inside your gamete? You found 23 in there? Count! Count the castor canadensis.
Each one? 10.
So if you have 10 chromosomes in a gamete, what is the haploid number for this species?
20? Yes.
Haploid is the number of pairs, and a gamete has the haploid number of chromosomes in it. What's the haploid number for this species? 10. If you got this is an egg or a sperm. This is not a diploid cell. This is a haploid cell.
You're right.
I know I'm right. I'm generally right, but I try not to be, too obnoxious about it. Okay, so a haploid cell has got the haploid number. This is a gamete. It's got 10 chromosomes. The haploid number for this species is 10. What's the diploid number for this species? 20. So if we found a castor canadensis skin cell, liver cell, muscle cell, bone cell, whatever, it would have 20 chromosomes, 2 from each of 10 pairs. Now, what you're going to do, we're going to walk through what these chromosomes are, and on each chromosome you'll notice that there's a letter. Oh. Well, what is carried on chromosomes? What do we call chunks of DNA that code for a particular trait?
Protein.
No. They code for the protein. The chunk of DNA itself
Beavers.
is a gene. It's a gene. So if you would be so kind as to look at your yellow long chromosome.
Long T.
Yep. It's got a T on it. Okay. We're going to hit a lot of vocabulary today. A ton of vocabulary. Okay. This chromosome might have 30 genes on it. It might have 100 genes on it. We don't know. A gene is just a section of DNA that codes for a trait. So I identified one of the genes that's on that particular chromosome. To simplify this, we've only got one gene on each chromosome. And your chromosome either says big T or little t. So this is a gene. It's a section of a chromosome that has DNA that codes for some trait. And what we refer, when we have a trait and there are 2 options for it, we refer to each of those as an allele. Okay? An allele is a version of a gene. An allele is a version of a gene. So for whatever this, yellow chromosome, whatever genes it's got on it, we reference those alleles, we represent them with letters uppercase and lowercase for the dominant and recessive versions of the gene. So uppercase is dominant, lowercase is recessive. You defined dominant and recessive on your vocab, and you probably had some genetics in middle school. Did you have some with Mr. G?
I didn't have.
Yep.
You didn't have Mr. G. Okay. So the dominant version of a gene will hide the recessive version of that gene. If you get a copy of the dominant, it will hide the recessive version of the trait. Okay. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through these together, and we're going to list all of the chromosomes that you've got, and just all 10. Because we're doing this for our beaver babies. We're going to make babies. Yay! Okay, so I would like you to lay out your chromosomes. start with that yellow long. And looking at the chart that you've got, you've hopefully circled which gamete you had. You're going to write in the first column yellow long, because this is the first chromosome we're dealing with.
All right. Yellow long.
Yellow long. And the characteristic that's controlled for by the gene on the yellow long chromosome is tail length. So it's long tail versus short tail. And we're saying that the long tail gene is dominant over the short tail gene, short tail allele. So the chromosome color length is going to be yellow long. The trait will be tail length, not long or short, just tail length. And then the allele present is what you've got. You're going to write an uppercase or a lowercase t. Okay, so your first line is going to look like that. And then I'm going to have you go down the entire list here. So yellow short is hair color. We can have a dark-haired beaver or a blonde beaver. The white long has a gene on it that controls tooth size. We can have a large-toothed or small-toothed beaver. So you're going to figure out what the genome of your gamete is. What genetic material your gamete contributes to your eventual beaver baby. Once you've transcribed your entire genome, it's going to look something like that, with, of course, some T's and B's and D's and L's, etc., etc., etc. So what you're going to do now, because you have the contents of an entire genome on that sheet of paper, okay, so you're going to have a sheet that looks like this. If you flip that sheet over, so on this sheet, you're going to take the information from the egg and from the sperm. So we'll start off here with, the yellow long chromosome. What trait does that control for? The gene that's on that trait, or the gene that's on that chromosome?
Tail length.
Tail length. So that's tail length. And the allele from the mom, let's say we got a T from mom, and let's say we got a lowercase t from dad. Okay. Well, we have a big T and little t. Now we got to talk about two more vocabulary words, genotype and phenotype. Have you ever heard those words before prior to looking them up? Yes? How many of you say yes? How many of you say no, I've never heard those words before in my life? Okay. So, this is so easy, and nobody told me this in high school. Genotype is the type of genes you have. Duh. Genotype is the letters. Genotype is just the letters. So for this individual, for tail length, the genotype of your baby, my imaginary baby here, would be big T, little t. That's it. Right now, I'm going to have you only fill out up to that column. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the phenotypes as we go. So go ahead, get together with your baby daddy or baby mommy, and make a baby. I've made an imaginary beaver baby with somebody. I don't know who. But anyway, you can see that the allele from the mom and the allele from the dad combine to give you the genotype, the actual types of genes you have. It's the letters that represent the genes that are present. What's the phenotype? That's the question. Who here has heard the word phenotype before? Okay. Phenotype is the physical appearance. Phenotype is the manifestation of the genotype. So genotype's the genes you have, phenotype's how that appears to the outside world. Now, if you have a copy of the dominant gene, guess what? It hides the recessive. So if we have big T, little t, and big T is long tail, little t is short tail, what's the phenotype for this? Yes. That's a long-tailed beaver baby. So you fill in yours. For hair color, we've got dark-haired beavers are capital H, the dominant. Light blonde beavers are recessive. My baby beaver is a blonde beaver. For tooth size, D is dominant and it's big teeth. Mine has big teeth. So go ahead and fill out all of your phenotypes. So your homework tonight, and this is actually homework over the weekend. It's not, you have to draw your beaver baby.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
Look at the last item on there. Now, when I say you have to draw your beaver baby,
Does it have to be good?
it does not have to be artistically good. I have seen some terrible beaver babies over the years, believe me. Okay, here's what you have to do. You have to represent every single phenotypic characteristic. You have to, have big teeth or little teeth, red eyes or brown eyes, pink nose or black nose, blonde fur or dark fur. For things like boy or a girl, sometimes people put a bow on her head or they give her a bow tie. I've seen that. If your baby is a greasy beaver, sometimes people draw a little oil can next to him, or they'll show little squirts of oil coming out of its butt, which is disgusting. But I'll leave it up to your judgment. For babies, and then you have to write each phenotype and put the genotype. Just drawing a baby beaver, no matter how beautiful or how terrible, does not get you all the points. You get 2 points for just drawing it, but you get more points for labeling each genotype and phenotype and representing them. Questions, comments, concerns? Right now, I really want you working on the part C because we've covered a lot of words today. And if you still don't understand them, you don't have to do part C, but you should get a lot of them now.